Good afternoon, everybody, or good evening if you are in Europe, or good morning if you are someplace else. But regardless, this is Becoming Quantum Conscious with Bart Sharp on United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network out of the beautiful city of New Orleans, Louisiana. And this would be 107.7 and 105.3. And we are also on Roku, Facebook, YouTube. And if you want to join the chat, you can go to my YouTube page and go to live shows, and there I'll be, or just go to Facebook on News of the Flip Side and joining the chat from there, because you may want to ask this man we have today or tonight some probing questions, because if there's anybody that I know that always has a good answer to a question, it would be today's guest, Richard Stanley. Richard is a director and writer. Some of his movies are The Color Out of Space with Nicolas Cage, The Other World, The White Darkness, and many other movies out there. You can find all of these movies on the official Richard Stanley website, and that's what it's called, the official Richard Stanley website. And it's just great to have him on the show. Also, he has a book in the process of being released. It's not quite there, but it's going to be really an exciting event when it does happen. And I must say, it's quite daring, as I wouldn't expect anything else from this guy. And this book is called The Last Crusade, which is about the life of Otto William Ron. And so, welcome to the show, Richard. I'm so glad you're here.
Oh, good evening, good day, and it's an absolute pleasure to be with you, Bart.
Yes.
And, it's just sunset here in the band, right in the middle of the so-called zone in the south of France.
Yes, and when you call it the local zone, what does that mean, in case people who have not been to lovely southwest France?
Well, the term zone is something I've borrowed from two Russian writers, Bart and Arkady. It's ready to define a geographic area where the normal rules of cause and effect and a lot of the basic laws of, I guess, what we take to be physical science seem to be a little out of order, a little irregular. I think it's a geographic area of about 200 square kilometers here in the French Pyrenees, verging on the Spanish border.
Yes. And one thing about it is just popping with the divine feminine energy. And literally it feels like it's coming out of the ground and out of the rocks, out of the cracks, out of the altars in the churches. It's incredible. And which goes with our topic today, the white goddess in France. There's a lot of stories about this, and that there's actually been white goddess sightings all throughout history. Some have been misidentified, some have been called various things, and other people have reported that they have seen a luminous figure walking in the night, and it looks more good than something scary. So you've had some experiences of very mystical things happening with you in this area, Richard. You've been living here for what, 20 years?
I've in fact been here now for 33 years.
Okay.
I first came here in the summer of 1990. So like a lot of folk, I came first as a tourist. And we're still shuffling backwards and forwards between the zone and the so-called railroad. my apartment in London. Really, it was only in 2007 after, I guess, what you could call an apparition of the White Lady, this white goddess that we are here this evening to, talk about. But I was motivated to give up my life, give up my apartment, and move full time to the mountain of Montsegur, which is where the phenomena had happened. It simply eclipsed everything else in my experience and seemed like the single most important driving question that I had to answer, given that it raises questions about the nature of consciousness, whether consciousness survives death, and beyond that, the sense that deities, ancient deities, are rising again, or in fact were always here among us.
Wow. That's a daring statement that the goddess or deities are coming back and returning.
Yeah, this is certainly so. I mean, you know it because you've been here, but there is a force in this land which cannot be quelled, and there is something rising here which I think the forces of repression and Puritanism, and to some extent the Inquisition and the Holy Roman Church have sought to suppress for 7 centuries. It's barely been 100 years since they stopped burning people for witchcraft and heresy. And I think finally now, 700 years after the persecution of the 12th and the 13th centuries, we're at a point where those forces are resurgent.
Yeah. And it really brings up the question of, like, as more we acknowledge this and relish it and invite it, it maybe contributes to that opportunity that we may see more of this. And we just had a comment from Sandra, because we've been struggling with this. There is reverb happening, so we're just going to do our best and trying to prevent that from happening. But it's we're having a little bit of difficulty with our connection.
Yeah, I'm afraid you have to be wearing headphones, but because I think I'm hearing it back from your end.
So tell us more about your experience at Montsegur.
Well, I guess that's cutting to the chase. It's an experience I've talked about quite a lot over the years, and it's a little well worn by now, and it's tricky when you tell the same story too often, because you start to only remember the story rather than the thing itself. The event was all the way back in 2007. Yes. Like a lot of folk, I was basically a skeptic. Thanks to my education, I think my rational mind takes an awful lot of persuasion to believe in the powers of the supernatural, let alone the existence of deities, of beings which are immensely more powerful than ourselves, consciously interfering in or guiding human affairs. So it wasn't something I came to easily. Basically, in 2007, I'd been visiting Montsegur for some years. In fact, I'd been visiting the site for roughly 17 years already at the point when I saw the apparition. And it happened pretty much accidentally. It was myself and one other person went up the mountain in the summer of 2007 to watch a lunar eclipse. It was during an eclipse of the full moon. And I would say that the apparitions in Montsegur are associated with the full moon. And for a window of opportunity, you're looking at a full moon in summer, usually the closest moon to the solstice in the early part of the year, when there's the forces of fertility in the land itself seem to be at their most powerful, and before the vacances, before the tourist season opens. Once these sites are trodden over by a few hundred people, they tend to become a little content locked, and seem to lose some of the charge they possessed earlier and later in the season. But there's apparitions associated with so many of the sites and castles around here, and they all have different times of year. I mean, Montsegour's sister castle, Pouleron's, also got a white lady. The central tower of Pouleron is called the Tower of the White Lady, but she tends to only show up in winter times beneath a waning crescent moon for some reason. At least that's the story that's been handed down to me, because I've certainly never seen the White Lady of Pouleron. But in the summer of 2007, I did see the White Lady of Montsegur, and she was exactly as she's been described by so many other people who've seen her. I've heard almost identical descriptions, notably from Lars Mule in the O manuscript, and as far back as the 1930s. The French poet Boris Marg describes the apparition of Escamond, or at least the living physical presence of Escamond, the last high priest of the Cathars, in this north-facing tower of the castle of Montsegur, in very clear terms, which speak directly to what I saw. And under the circumstances too, I wasn't alone at the time, and given that we weren't drunk or under the influence, if I'd been on my own, I might have been able to tell myself afterwards that I was suffering from a temporary lack of sanity. But the problem that we essentially saw and experienced the same thing meant we had to either accept that some kind of superhuman consciousness, a deity, a feminine presence really does guard the mountain of Montsegur. A figure identified in fable with the guardian of the Grail, which is really incredibly old. I also think all of us tend to see things through the filter of our own culture and our own time period. That the White Lady, the White Goddess, tends to change her form or change her masks from era to era. I think what we're seeing is something impossible for us to understand, reduced to humanly acceptable terms. An avatar or an aspect of something which is perhaps beyond our ability to fully understand. The all of the hallmarks of it, the details were very reminiscent of a Marian apparition. I've read and heard plenty of accounts of people who have experienced visitations of the Blessed Virgin Mary, the BVM, and what I saw in the castle of Montsegur ticked many of those boxes. There was, first of all, a sensation of being outside of time, of the wind changing direction, and suddenly the air was warmer, and there was a very sweet, beautiful smell, which was like roses or lilies, maybe with a hint of almonds, like icing on a wedding cake. And this strong, sweet smell, I think, is what's often described by Catholic folk, seeing virgins that knock or lord as the smell of sanctity. The odor is so important in these things, and it's often so deeply connected to memory.
It's almost as if the vibration appears and the people see it through one of their senses, but maybe they're stimulated in a variety of ways, yet it can only be interpreted in certain ways. Like for me, when I feel this stuff, it's a feeling, it's a vibration, but that's what I've tuned into. I've yet to see the white goddess there, but I have felt the presence in a few places that it feels like almost like a fairy or a fey energy. Uh, Certainly, people may have felt something similar, like in a forest in Nebius Forest or in Tarascon, close to the Garot de Bethlehem, that there is a certain vibration there, that it appears. It just shows up um, in various ways. Um, but it is a communication, I like to think. In other words, something is trying to get my attention, trying to show me something with that. And we've seen those all throughout history. One of the things is we've both talked about this place, Notre Dame de Sales, where Mother Mary appeared, and appeared in a forest, as many of her appearances are, oddly enough. And that's also seems to be a high incidence of the white goddess appearing in the forest, um, which is to me is kind of interesting in itself.
Yeah, all around Mexico, there are a number of other areas where there have been apparitions over the years. And Cell is certainly just over the hill past Montferrier is where you get the source of the apparition, that little church itself that we're talking about. And then going down the other way from Montsegur, you get to Ballester and Notre Dame de Valdemar, where again sightings of the Blessed Virgin Mary and miraculous apparitions of glowing feminine force are reported from the 17th century. But I really feel that the identification with Mary is a manifestation of this force that we're experiencing now. And our Christian period only extends back 2,000 years. And there's white ladies, branches, mother goddesses carved out of mammoth ivory and horses' teeth from the end of the last ice age, from the period of 35,000 years ago, or between 25 and 35,000, literally 23,000 years before the advent of Christianity. So she's been showing up a long time in different forms. In these ladies that have come out of the caves, and some of them in great numbers, are among the first representations of the human form or the human face in art. The earliest Cro-Magnon attempt to create a human being, and almost unanimously women, almost unanimously these white fertility goddesses.
Wow. And this is pretty much in the Pyrenees Mountains that you're talking about, uh, and not so much in other places around Europe. Am I understanding you correctly?
I wouldn't be so bold as to say that, because I haven't spent nearly as much enough time in all the other mountains of Europe. They might well be vibrant parallel traditions, but I simply haven't had the good fortune to come across. But there is something here, I think, which is particularly strong, and that's been arguably the reason why this area has been persecuted so heavily in the past. That I sometimes think that the extraordinary rage and horror unleashed on the Languedoc, on Occitania, by the Holy Roman Church in the form of Crusaders, then the Inquisition, and the witch hunts, the war of religion. It's kind of a reflection of the fact that maybe Rome thought here in the Pyrenees, here in Occitania, was a force that challenged them, that was potentially powerful enough to overthrow the patriarchal hegemony of European belief, a force that they felt they needed to exterminate or completely annihilate to stop it from ever rising against Rome again. So I suspect it was always strong. The good lady was always a power.
Yeah, it's ironic that so many of the churches that the Catholics built are on sacred pagan sites, almost like they would put a church on top, almost as a way to claim the energy, but also cut the energy off from the earth. It's been my perception as a psychic that those churches that have been what I call emasculated, they're more masculine. Whereas when you go to a church like Rennes Chateau or some of the churches in the Languedoc, or excuse me, the Aude region or the Arge region, they're very, very feminine. They still have a connection with the earth, and it flows like a feminine energy. Somewhere that wasn't stamped down, it wasn't cut off. But there are plenty of churches that are very masculine that seem to have that stamp put on them, or stomp, as we say, with that. I feel that is very true in American churches, that it doesn't feel connected to the earth when you walk into a church. It's connected to other things, and doesn't mean that they do not have a spiritual or higher vibration, but it's not an earth vibration.
Yeah, sorry to hear that, but yeah, grateful that is true. That here in the mountains there is still a connection which I think we may have lost in the wider world, just through human development and the way that our civilization has taken us away from the natural rhythms of the land and of the seasons and the cycle of the moon and the stars. And I think all of that's very, very closely connected to what's here. I think this force has always been here, and it's gone underground for a long time. But now it's bubbling back to the surface, and I think uncountable, disguised, and sometimes fantastical forms. So we're seeing a potential resurfacing of the underground stream.
Yeah, that's a great point. It is resurfacing, and maybe it's the astrological age, maybe it's the cycle, maybe it's the people, or all the above. I'm glad it's happening.
And I think it's also a time when humanity really has to renegotiate its relationship with planet Earth if we're going to survive in the long term. There's a lot of folk out there are having to reappraise the way that they are living. The way that we live in this world, because we're so often so totally disconnected from the planet. All of our actions are ultimately vital in the decision whether to use single-use plastics to put milk in your coffee. Every little thing adds up, and if we're judged at all at the end of days, it's going to be according to the decisions we make in this world. And I have to just pray that the light at the top of the mountain, whatever force that represents, will grow stronger just as the laurel turns greener and grows more vibrant. We have a prophecy here that after 7 centuries, the laurel is supposed to turn green again. This was a prophecy made by allegedly the last Cathar adept, Wilhelm Bellybach, in 1321. And we're all of us hoping that after now the 7 centuries are officially up, that maybe the underground stream can gradually flow back into the light.
Indeed, that is a wonderful prophecy with that. And as you said, when the laurel comes to bloom, the prophecy is in action, which is actually happening. And those of us who live in the area, or for me, regularly visit and stay as long as I can before visas tell me to go back to the United States. But there was a destruction of the laurel trees by the white butterfly of a Japanese box butterfly. I'm sure you could tell this story better than I could, Richard.
Yeah, it was an ecological cataclysm. I can't remember how many years ago now. 4 years ago.
Yes.
4 or 5 years ago. Something called the Asian box moth caterpillar managed to get into Occitania and got into the Pyrenees. Allegedly, it arrived from Asia in the roots of palm trees that they planted in the Côte d'Azur. And then in the course of one season, they proliferated out of control, and in a matter of days, ate 3/4 of the tree cover here in the Pyrenees, decimated the box and the laurel, and for a few days, the whole of the Ariège and into the Aude were just clouds of silver moths flying everywhere, and then very shortly after that, they pupated, turned into tiny poisonous worms, which were related to silkworms. So they spun webs and sort of abseiled down to the ground, where they became rivers of billions of poisonous cannibalistic worms that would kill dogs or cats if they ate them, which ate each other and streamed over the land. And it was a proper plague in a biblical sense, the sort of thing that really makes me question how an all-wise, all-kind, all-knowing God could create something that hideous. But yeah, within days, ate 3/4 of the tree cover, left a lot of places impassable. The Pog of Montsegur, it was gutted. All of the whole forest on the one side was eaten out, and it was nothing but cobwebs and poisonous worms for weeks and weeks. And fortunately, they sort of something went wrong with their breeding pattern, or maybe they just ate all the food that they had. But the box moth caterpillar population collapsed within a year or so, and now no longer a problem. We noticed just as 2023, 2021 really, the due date called Cathar prophecies, the laurel would turn green again. That the laurel has indeed been coming back, and the box and the trees. Thanks to a side effect of the climatic issues the world is currently facing. We've had a kind of a greenhouse summer this year. A lot of sun, a lot of rain. It's become practically semi-tropical. The creatures are coming back all over the place.
Wonderful.
Very, very pleased to find freshwater lobsters in the Blanc River. So yeah, just to be seeing a plethora of rare species reasserting themselves.
Oh, did I take that off too fast, Richard? It sounds like we have gotten. Are we disconnected?
What happened there?
Oh, this was from Carrie Longdock saying, making a contact. But you were talking about the regeneration of life in nature in the Aude and Ariège region, and that it seems to be coming back. being that in Austin, Texas, we've had something like 15 days of, let's see, let me apply this to centigrade temps, 44 to 46 degree centigrade days. That would be 105 to 107 temperatures. We're really ready for revival. And so I like to think of this legendary story you're mentioning of the return of the laurels, but also the ending of the curse of Montsegur as a newer era is sprouting forth.
I'd certainly like to see that. There is a sense that this area is somehow divinely protected. At least we do have our whatever that force is, the good mother that watches over this place. So I know over the mountains, Spain is baking and drying out, and pretty much everyone across the globe facing appalling circumstances. It's no better in South Africa or Australia and at the other end of the year. But right here in our zone, we've been inadvertently blessed with very high rainfall and very good sources. A lot of water. Our white goddess is traditionally often associated with water sources, springs, just as years of year, caves and forests. And thus far, we're certainly blessed.
And a friend of mine, well, she's on this show, or on the United. Let me give our radio announcements. You are on United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 107.7, 105.3, out of New Orleans, Louisiana, worldwide through Roku, Facebook, YouTube, internet, etc., etc., etc. And one of the big stars of this program is Michelle Devercher. And she and I have a lot of topics about this area, or talks. And we both come to this consensus that Renly Chateau is a beacon. It is a beacon of light for we don't know how big the beacon goes, if it's for Europe, France, the world, but it is a beacon. And if you have a beacon, that is also, maybe it's one of the first places to send out a message that, in this case, change is coming. And to me, as an intuitive, I always feel a huge beacon coming out of one of the places at Renly Chateau. And so if you ever go, just tune into where you feel a very subtle energy that seems to go up into the heavens, and that's the beacon. And I will leave it at that. It's not in the church. I'll give you that clue. So hopefully there will be good change happening throughout our planet. And the white goddess is one of those messengers to remind us of that. And do you have any theories about what you think the white goddess is trying to tell people throughout history? You know, why was she appearing?
Well, there's different takes on the white goddess, of course, depending on our belief system. But I think a lot of her initial, one might say, pagan or heathen context, Minerva or Belisama, Bellicina, the bright or shining one, the consort of Belenus Tutatis, the Ibero-Celtic deities that were here before the Romans came in, and of course the goddesses of Roman times. Like Minerva, they're all too often depicted as defending mothers, brave, strong mothers who are defending their land and their people. Minerva with her breastplate and her spear or sword. Certainly, Our Lady of Montsegur, who is a sort of a blending of two historic persons connected to the history of the castle. Again, is a defender. a defender of the land, a defender of the mountains, and a defender of her people. And I think this is something we've always seen in troubled times. She stands by us and defends the faithful. And it may be fanciful of me to see the way that this image is reworked over the years and adopted into Christianity and into the stories of the Virgin of Mary Magdalene, but also possibly all the way through to things as seemingly banal as the lady who is seen leading the people towards the barricades in a symbol of the French Revolution, or the Statue of Liberty that is meant to be guarding freedom. And I think she's been there guarding us and watching over us like a kind, strong mother for a long, long time.
That's a wonderful archetypal description. I keep thinking of the French painting, the Revolution, of the woman with the cannonball flying between her legs and ripping her dress, and she leading the revolution there.
That's right. Yeah, I think it's another iteration of that same fierce mother, fierce warrior goddess, where I can identify with our Apollonean tradition.
Yes, and that's a wonderful message, because it's such a mysterious thing. If you're one who travels and is fascinated with this area, you always feel this feminine goddess energy there, and people go, well, it's the path of Mary Magdalene. And yes, there's a lot of truth to that, but I'm always invited and intrigued by the possibility that it's such bigger concepts. And it's hard to grasp anything because most of it is in the unseen world instead of the seen world. So it's really difficult. Just to switch directions a little bit, I had the pleasure of visiting with Richard a bit this summer, and got to see his house, and it's full of projects. It's full of all of these things that he's fascinated with. They're just around the house. This is a guy who doesn't sit around and do nothing. He is a constant, magnificent creator of magnitude. And I guess one of the biggest projects you're doing right now is completing a book called The Last Crusade, about the life of Otto William Rahn. And I just wondered if you could spend a few minutes in sharing about what's that about.
Well, segueing into The Last Crusade, the quest for SS Obersturmführer Otto Wilhelm Rahn. Last Crusade concerns what I guess most people will be familiar with as the real life backstory behind the Raiders of the Lost Ark franchise. The issue of whether or not the Third Reich was actively trying to acquire a series of mythical power objects at the onset of World War II, commonly held to include the Ark of the Covenant, the Holy Grail, and the Spear of Longinus, the Spear of Destiny. So at some point back in the 90s, I was hired by Britain's Channel 4 television, by their religion department, to go to Europe and research the backstory to these alleged Nazi mysteries, to see if there was any truth to the pop cultural myth. And in the course of that, I stumbled over Otto Rahn, who was the German Jewish Grail historian, who went after the Grail, the behest of the Third Reich, and may or may not have inspired some of the material in the familiar Indiana Jones series. Otto was here in the Pyrenees in the 1920s, and in the very early 1930s. And if nothing else, he's responsible for telling the story of the Cathars, the crusade against the South, and the fall of Montsegur for the first time outside of France. The entire story was suppressed for 7 centuries. No account existed until about 1875, when a Baptist pastor, Napoleon Peyrat, in Bolesco, wrote the first Histoire d'Albigeois, telling the story of the Crusade and the siege of the castle. And then Maurice Marg and other people picked up on Peyrat's work. Ran, writing in about 1929, wrote the first account that wasn't in French, that appeared in German. It was a bestseller in Germany in the early 1930s, and finally came to the attention of foreign press, generating a couple of English language notices in the newspapers. The story of the Cathars and the downfall of the South was not mentioned in any English language history book until the mid-1940s. Almost 7 centuries of complete silence. Thanks to Otto's ill-fated and misjudged alliance with the dark forces of the Third Reich. Otto's own work was not translated until the 1990s, until the end of the 20th century. When I came across it in 1998, it was still available only in the original German, although in our present day it's now available in English language from Inner Traditions, which is a book called Crusade Against the Grail by Otto Rahn. And I went looking for Otto. Initially I was hoping I might find him still alive, in the hope that we could either interview him for British television, or potentially, if he'd found the Holy Grail, to somehow mug him and take the Grail away from him. So we went looking for hammer and tongs. The last crusade was a hoovering together, a tidying together of all of the data that turned up in the course of that quest, which is quite a lot of stuff. And I tried to put between the covers as much primary data as possible, as many of the original documents, and as many of the clues as possible, because getting to a point in my own life when I'm realizing that there's only so far you can go. And if anything, once I'm unplugged, I don't want all of that research to go back into the ether again. So it seems like the best thing I could do for Otto Rahn and Otto's Grail was to try to organize the data and get it, as much of it as possible between 2 covers, to then get it to the public. I do believe that in the course of his quest, Otto Rahn came up against the same supernatural and spiritual forces that we were discussing earlier with the White Lady, the White Goddess, and the forces that are also vested against that power.
Wow. So, as he was having to investigate this area for the Third Reich, which he didn't seem to find anything, but of course, however, he was doing his own research. He had the information about the Cathars and about the mystical aspects of it, kind of stuck away. It sounds like what you're trying to say.
Well, trying to penetrate the truth of what Otto experienced is incredibly difficult, because there's so many varying accounts, not the least by Otto himself, who contradicts himself in several crucial ways, and also is very cautious about what he put into the book. There's so much missing from his written account that it provokes questions as to why he hasn't commented on so many of his collaborators and the things that happened. And
yeah. He must have been in a very difficult place. So, do you think he actually research a lot of the mysteries of the Cathars? Did I understand you correctly?
Yes, Crusade Against the Grail was, I think, groundbreaking from the point of view that I don't think anyone had told those stories before, literally outside of France. Also, would have back engineered some of that from Napoleon Perrat and Maurice Marg, the two French authors who had already touched on that material. But a lot of the time he was going to original sources. He was going to Inquisition documents and surviving materials from the 12th and the 13th century. And I also think there's a very deep, some would say psychic, others would say poetic, link identification to the heretics of the 12th century, which I think was along with his Jewish ancestry, the things that ultimately made it impossible for Otto to cooperate with the Hitler dictatorship. And in real life led to his lonely death in the snow on the German-French border in 1939 when Ran perished allegedly trying to escape Germany and on the run from the SS.
Wow. Yeah, it's like he was having to search for things that he wanted to find, but yet he did not want to find because it would have gone to the Third Reich. What a predicament.
And beyond that, it's a very stony path, the way of the Bonhomme, the way of the Cathars. It's a difficult faith, perhaps, because it does demand a lot from its adherents. Sometimes it demands that you give up everything. Even giving up everything is not enough. In the case of Otto Rahn and the defenders of Magdeburg, it demanded that they lay down their lives. Sometimes it's a challenging force to serve. And in the course of close identification of these historic figures, we find that sometimes we are propelled closer to the stake and closer to the abyss than we might imagine. For Otto, his initiation path ended in a precipice. At the last, it seems it always demands that you have to make some form of leap of faith.
Wow.
It's the nature of the trail.
Wow. It sounds like it's going to be a great read. I can't wait till it comes out.
Yeah, it would have been out already, but we've had a last-minute offer from a larger publishing house. So there's more interest in it, and so now I'm grappling as to whether to self-publish or let the beast out of my hands. One way or another, it's coming. And I think, an essential part of it, because I really wanted to put everything that I knew, between two covers and make it available in some kind of organized, potentially explosive format.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. I can't wait for it to come out. It'll be fun. And you can find a lot of Richard's work on the official richardstanley.com website. He has his movies out, other publications, and also you showed me a wonderful short movie about you and your friend with the Montsegur experience with the White Goddess. It was a wonderful story telling that tale. Where could our listeners find that?
Yeah, this is a documentary called The Other World. Other World, one word. and that we're referring to the fairy otherworld. And it should be noted that our white goddess, our white lady, is perhaps one part Virgin Mary, but she's also one part Queen of the Fairies, or she is a creature of fairyland as much as anything else. As a creature of fairy, is often viewed with mistrust by Christians and villagers over the years. In some versions of the story, the white lady will lure you to your doom and warn you not to consort with the fairies. There's a grey area between she inhabits this slightly grey area between sanctity and damnation.
It's so true. When you're talking about fairies or the white goddess or some of the mysteries here, there is an unknown area about it, but yet somewhere deep inside of you, you know it's true. Particularly if you come, particularly if you experience and something opens inside of you. To me, it feels more true than reading the daily news. So, Richard, like myself, are very fascinated with these areas. We just have about 3 more minutes. In closing, is there anything else you would like to share that you feel like could enrich the audience, whether it be about your upcoming book or White Goddess or another project that's up in the making?
Well, keep watching the airwaves for The Last Crusade, because I do hope that will be with us by autumn. But beyond that, The Otherworld, aka L'Autrement en français, is the story of the initial apparition of Dame Blanche that we witnessed at Montreal in 2007, and you can probably find that on Amazon. But clear on the ground in the mountains of the Pyrenees, the struggle between the forces of spirit and the forces of matter continues. But I really feel that the forces of spirit are slowly but surely gaining the upper hand, and those new green leaves are coming back. And at the end of the day, what was once true remains true. Truth is irreducible. And sooner or later will always shine through, even after centuries of darkness.
That's a wonderful thought, and it gives us that lesson to live in spirit, embody it, practice it, let it shine out you to others, and be that contribution that we are talking about. You do not have to be in France to be a beacon of this light. You can be in some place like I am, Austin, Texas, where it's 106 today. On my porch, it's 110 because of the tin roof, and it feels like oppressive. But yet we can still be light when we have this around us, just like Otto Rahn probably had enormous amount of pressure on him because they knew he had the answers. They knew he knew things that they wanted, and he had to do a very strange song and dance in order to live through the experience.
Yeah, sadly, our story is closer to our times than I would like it to be. When I started researching the case, I thought it was ancient history and no longer dangerous. But further down the pike, I now understand, I think, all too clearly some of the difficulties that Otto encountered on his path. And all I can do for you, Bart, is pray for rain. Hope that you get some cooler temperatures. I mean,
he just sounds like a wonderful hero to really delve into, and I really thank you for having the insight to explore his life and let this story be shown. to the world. Thank you so much for bringing that project to light, Richard.
Well, in truth, I don't think it was thanks to my insight. I think I was, in some respects, lucky, but then also used or chosen to get the story out. It was thanks to the fact that I was sent to Europe with the backing of the TV station back in the 90s, at a point in time when so many people were still alive who had been there back in the day and who could tell the story firsthand, that I was able to at least make a first-hand link to the events of 1929 and 1930, which shed some light on it. Now, pretty much all of my informants have gone to spirit and are one with the dust. It makes sense to try to put what I learned between two covers.
Indeed. Well, I really wanted to thank you for being on the show today and discussing your rich life of so many experiences. I don't know how you put so much information out there to the world and do so many things. It's just incredible. So thank you so much, Richard, for being on the show.
Mercy, thank you, Bart. It was, of course, just the tip of an iceberg, as you well know.
Oh, as I well know.
Yeah,
an hour conversation with Richard turns out into 4 very easily. You just have such a rich, so much to share. And so thanks for being here. And this is the United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network on Roku, YouTube, Facebook, and other platforms all around the world. And next week, we will be back with Linda Galvan talking about the healing powers of this magnificent book that's been around for about 12 years called The Gene Keys by Richard Rudd. And we will be discussing the transformative abilities of this amazing text that is changing the world throughout countries all over the world. So please join us then, and we will see you next week. Bye for now.
Merci. Thank you.